Hi, it's Paul from HobbyLink International. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. There's a link up there to subscribe, and I think there's a bell down there somewhere to get notifications. Today we're going to have a look at a new book from Luftfahrtverlag-Start. This is their latest book. Just as an aside, we're going to be adding all their books and magazines to the shop next week after, sometime soon anyway. It's in process. So anyway, this book is all about the submariners in Hamburg at the end of the war and how they turned into tank killers. So this is from submariners to tank killers. Okay, so let's have a look through just some of the pages of this book from Luftfahrtverlag-Start, from Submariners to Tank Killers. Basically, Marine Tank Hunter Regiment 1 and the fighting near Hamburg, April, May 1945. Oh, 1st Naval Anti-Tank Regiment. So, basically there's a few sort of different sections to this book. Table of contents here gives you an idea. Basically the origins of the regiment, where all the sailors came from, as in the U-boats they came from, and also a bit of background as to what U-boats were in Hamburg at that time. Formation operations by the regiment south of Hamburg. Then negotiations for the surrender of German forces and Hamburg. Quick conclusion, and then some never before seen photos of production of U-boats in Hamburg in 1944, and also lots of unseen photos in here as well. So a quick flick through about the origins of it. As you can see, it's all glossy paper, really nice format. Text is all in German and English. Basically this section goes through each U-boat that was in Hamburg at the time and what happened to the crews. Some U-boats were able to get out of Hamburg, some weren't. Some stayed there with a skeleton crew. And see, it sort of goes through the list of all the different U-boats and basically what happened to them all. There's also lots of air raids happening at the time. There's photographs of the relevant U-boats scattered through this section as well. Again, going through all of that. Photos, map of Hamburg, where the U-boats actually were, and these are where more were being constructed. Hamburg, the harbour area in the middle of an air raid attack. You can see the colour photograph here, and here's a map showing where the U-boats are being constructed as well. And basically it sort of goes through where all the U-boats were and where the manpower for the regiment came from. Now this next section is all about basically the operations. There was no German units south of Hamburg at this time, so this unit was sort of thrown together to conduct a defence of Hamburg. There was a few other army units around, one SS unit around, but it was sort of a desperate grab for manpower really to try and defend Hamburg. So there's the layout of the commanders. And there's actually, the authors are clearing up a lot of information. There's other stuff that's been written about this regiment, but a lot of it is contradictory. Some of it is just flat out wrong. So what the author has done here, he's basically gone back to primary sources and sort of done the story from scratch. You know, there's other articles in different books that he's looked at as well, and they just say things for which there are no facts to back them up. So it is the most up-to-date information about this particular unit, and as far as anybody knows, it's the only correct one as such. It goes as far as using the facts, and if they don't know something, they'll actually say they don't know, it's not known, rather than making it all up. Most of the fighting happened down here in the south of Hamburg. Mostly training to start with, going through the different units. This is a pretty big chunk of text with maps, images from the front, from the fighting. See here, there's I think he's from either Volkssturm company commander, and a couple of British soldiers hiding in the undergrowth. And then still lots of fighting. All this section is still all about the fighting south of Hamburg. As the British sort of slowly made progress, obviously, but they were definitely slowed down by the sailors. And there's your map towards the end of it. It was like 26th of April. That's the front line. And then negotiations for the surrender of the German forces. And this follows negotiations took place in this place, which nowadays is that place. And now this guy, General Major Alvin Volz, he was a guy who kind of made sure that Hamburg got surrendered and didn't get destroyed. He was sort of playing a bit of devil's advocate job. I know there's a lot of literature that says it was I think a politician in Hamburg who arranged the surrender of Hamburg, but there's tons of facts in here, a whole story. It goes into detail about all the individual meetings between the British and this guy and his representatives and a couple of other people. So basically, he had an order from Adolf Hitler to destroy Hamburg, which he sort of said, yes, that's definitely going to happen, honest. He also had local commanders telling him that to design the defense of Hamburg, and he would say, yep, going to get right on that. Meanwhile, he was talking to the British about how do we surrender Hamburg without destroying it, because we're going to need Hamburg after the war is over. So that's basically his sort of thing, playing with fire a bit to sort of get Hamburg through the war and out the other side. So this is what the port area looks like. Believe it or not, there was still submarine production going on when this photograph was taken. And so there's lots of information here about all the meetings and back and forth and stuff going on. End result, here's British armour in Hamburg, and no fighting. So that all sort of went according to plan, so to speak. And then, of course, it was in northern Germany, it was like a bit of a free-for-all for people to surrender. Yes, soldiers carrying children of civilians. These guys are coming in to surrender. This guy apparently that's a radio truck. He heard the British troops were in a certain village, so he stuck a white flag on the front of his truck and drove straight there to surrender. Basically, people just wanted, the war to be over, and there's people registering after they've surrendered. I think those are sailors from the port. And lots more pictures about all that sort of stuff. Lots of pictures in this section, this whole section here. There's some colour photographs. This whole back end section is full of colour photographs which have never been seen before. And I mean, there is a lot of colour photographs back here from Hamburg 1944 and after the war as well. But there's a lot of stuff, good stuff here for if you're interested in submarines. There's a ton of stuff, and this is the guy he's going to be hoisted up on this crane to take photographs. inside a production shed. So even if for nothing else, it's well worth it for all these colour photographs that are in here. So overall, there's just under 200 pages. As you saw, it's quite a big, hefty book. You can buy this directly from the publisher. That's the best place to get it. And also, we'll be, as I mentioned earlier, we'll be selling Luftfahrtverlag-Start's books and magazines on our website in the near future.